Hello everyone. Welcome to Nanuya channel. Today, we're talking about something that I know a lot of people struggle with, being different. More specifically, how embracing your differences actually allows you to be your most authentic self. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you don't fit in? Like you're the odd one out? The person who just thinks, feels, or acts differently from everyone around you? If you've ever felt that way, trust me, you're not alone. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. Being different is not a flaw. It's a gift. We live in a world that constantly tells us to fit into a mold, to act a certain way, look a certain way, think like everyone else. But if we all did that, what kind of world would we be living in? A pretty dull one, right? So today, I want to unpack this idea that being different isn't something to be ashamed of. It's actually the key to truly being yourself. The pressure to fit in. Let's be real for a second. Most of us have, at some point, felt the pressure to fit in. Maybe in school, you liked something that wasn't cool, so you pretended to be into what everyone else liked. Maybe at work, you keep quiet about your real opinions because you don't want to stand out too much. Or maybe you've held back parts of your personality because you were afraid people wouldn't accept the real you. And I get it. Standing out can feel uncomfortable. We're wired to seek connection and belonging, and sometimes it feels easier to blend in than to embrace what makes us different. But here's the truth. The people who truly belong in your life will accept you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. And those who judge you for being yourself, they were never meant to be part of your journey in the first place. Now, I want to get personal for a minute. I know exactly what it feels like to struggle with being different. Real story, Ed Sheeran, embracing his uniqueness. Let's talk about Ed Sheeran for a second. Today, he's one of the biggest musicians in the world, but his journey wasn't easy. When Ed was younger, he was bullied a lot for being different. He had a stutter, bright red hair, big glasses, and wasn't considered cool. On top of that, his love for music made him stand out even more. Instead of playing sports or doing what most kids did, he was obsessed with songwriting and playing guitar. People made fun of him, and for a while, he struggled with self-confidence. But here's what's amazing. He didn't let it stop him. He kept writing music, kept performing, and instead of trying to change himself to fit in, he leaned into his uniqueness. He embraced his red hair, his quirky personality, and his love for storytelling through music. And guess what? That's exactly what made him stand out. Today, Ed Sheeran is a multi-award-winning artist, selling out stadiums worldwide. And he often talks about how embracing his differences made all the difference. In interviews, he's even said, "Embrace your weirdness. Being weird is a wonderful thing." His story is proof that the things that make you different are often the things that make you great. So if you ever feel like you don't fit in, just remember, you weren't meant to. You were meant to stand out. And like Ed Sheeran, when you embrace who you truly are, amazing things can happen. Why being different is actually a strength. Think about some of the most inspiring people in history. Artists, leaders, inventors. People like Albert Einstein, Frida Kahlo, Steve Jobs, Lady Gaga. What do they all have in common? They were different, and they embraced it. Imagine if they had been too scared to stand out. Imagine if they had tried to fit into society's expectations instead of following their own paths. The world would have missed out on their genius, their creativity, their innovation. And the same goes for you. Your unique way of thinking, your ideas, your personality. These are all things that make you special. And the more you lean into them, the more you step into your true self. How to start embracing your uniqueness. So, how do you actually start embracing your differences instead of hiding them? Here are a few things that have helped me. stop comparing yourself to others. This one is tough, especially with social media constantly showing us highlight reels of other people's lives. But here's the thing. You're not supposed to be like everyone else. Your path is uniquely yours. Surround yourself with people who appreciate the real you. If you feel like you have to pretend to be someone else to be accepted, those aren't your people. The right people will love you for who you are, not who you try to be. Find what makes you happy and do more of it. Whether it's a hobby, a passion, or a way of thinking, if it makes you happy, it's worth pursuing. Even if no one else gets it, even if it's different, it's yours, and that's what matters. Embrace your weirdness. Seriously. The quirks, the little things that make you different, those are your superpowers. Own them. Love them. The more you embrace them, the more confident you'll feel in who you are. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, the most fulfilling thing you can do is be yourself. You weren't meant to fit into a box. You weren't meant to be a copy of someone else. You were meant to be exactly who you are. And the moment you embrace that, life starts to open up in ways you never imagined. So, if you've ever felt like you don't fit in, like you're different, like you stand out, just know this: that's your superpower. Don't hide it, own it, celebrate it. That's it for today's episode. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for more conversations about self-growth, confidence, and embracing who you are. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, stay different, stay bold, and most importantly, stay you. The odd one out means a person who is different from others in a group and doesn't quite fit in. It's used to describe someone who stands out because of their appearance, interests, or way of thinking. For example, if a group of friends love sports, but one person prefers reading, that person might feel like the odd one out. It doesn't mean something is wrong with them, it just means they're different from the rest of the group. A pretty dull one means a very boring one. In the context of the podcast script, I was saying that if everyone acted, thought, and looked the same, the world would be boring. It wouldn't have creativity, uniqueness, or excitement. Lean into means to fully embrace or accept something, rather than resisting it. In the podcast script, when I say, lean into what makes you unique, I mean, accept and celebrate your differences instead of trying to hide or change them. For example, if you have a unique talent, lean into it by practicing and showing it off. If you think differently from others, lean into it by sharing your ideas confidently.